ouch, ouch, kitty cat, ouch, 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 kitty cat, ouch, 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 kitty cat. She wants to use me as a pincushion.
This is Mostly Fictional Tales. I am your host, Rathgar. And with me today is my great friend, Tim Ramirez. Guitar player, YouTube content creator, and an all-around smart dude.
Known as TJR on his channel and as a musician.
Yeah.
As far as music, but I also think to a certain extent...
I have not liked any of the AI music that I have heard generated.
I've heard is people using AI to create imaginary scenarios. And I'll give you an example. Someone took a posthumous John Lennon song and then created it as if the Beatles had played on it, with Paul McCartney and George Harrison singing backup vocals, and created this AI replication that sounds pretty darn convincing. In another situation, someone took a recent Paul McCartney song, and changed his voice so it sounded like the young Paul McCartney versus the older Paul McCartney.
Okay.
And and it sounded very darn convincing, and then even had John Lennon join him in the song. This was an already recorded and released Paul McCartney song. Now, the creator of this AI audio had no rights to do this, but did it just to say, "Here, look what you can do."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which I think is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
they're not trying to make any money.
He shouldn't be able to make money off of taking somebody else's work. However,
they're not trying to make money off. They're just saying, "Look what you can do."
Yeah,
how do you like this? And of course, if any record label out there is smart, they would hire this person, because then they could say, if Paul McCartney's record label could say, "Okay, you don't like Paul McCartney's latest album because you think his voice sounds old and tired," because some people don't.
Yeah.
I like Paul McCartney's new stuff. I hear the emotion in his voice, even though his voice is aged.
Yeah. I agree.
If you prefer to hear his younger voice, great. Here's the young voice.
Yeah, but the young voice is going to sing about different emotions than the older voice will.
Well, it's the same lyrics. It's the same song.
Yeah.
You can't change that.
Yeah, but the emotions can be completely different.
In his younger voice.
Tim, I'm going to direct your attention to a film you recommended to me, and I saw it and was just blown away. David Lynch film called Mulholland Drive.
Yes, this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So what you're talking about there's the scene, the audition scene that they go to, the older man and younger lady, and they have this ridiculous back and forth dialogue. But when you put the different people with the right ages in those roles, you suddenly get a completely different story. And I think there's value in that. Is just like in the play, the film Rashomon, about you've got many different sides to the truth, at least 4 in Rashomon. So and I think that's what the AI art is that if it makes somebody feel something, then it's art. If they're willing to pay something, then that's great. If 2 people are willing to pay $1 million for it, well, then Adam Smith is, cashing in a royalty check. We have our Tim Ramirez on YouTube at TJR, the original. And I'll zoom in here just for some of you who need a little extra right there, and then I'll zoom in right here so that you can see it. TJR, the original. And the man puts out like 5 videos a day. He's obviously going to try to get something that is interesting to your eyeballs. That's a big exaggeration. Here on Mostly Fictional Tales, we specialize in delivering you only the choicest of mostly fictional tales. And
that's quite an exaggeration. I try to put out at least 1 or 2 videos a week.
I'm proud of you. I am proud of you, is what I'm saying. Look at you. I notice. I hope it still feels good when I ping you out of the blue and say, "I'm watching your video right now."
I'm always gratified that you're watching. I always feel very grateful that anybody watches.
Good, videos. Because that's kind of what I'm doing when I'm pinging you with that. I'm going, I know I'm just one of the 700 people who have watched your review in the last 3 days, but
I'm always grateful to hear your comments. I'm always grateful to see them. And I'm grateful that anybody comments and that anybody watches. Some of my videos skyrocket, others kind of fizzle out. Making YouTube videos is a lot harder than people realize. I think people think it's pretty easy, but it's actually a lot harder than people realize. It's very time consuming. Even the simplest of videos is quite time consuming, although I am trying to find ways to improve that. And getting back to our AI topic, I am starting to learn how to use AI to do that, to help me sometimes with writing. Have to be careful to not use it for fact finding.
Right here,
it's terribly inaccurate.
I got the thing, but yeah, you got to worry about whether or not it's accurate or not. That is true. That is completely true.
You have to be very careful. But yeah, as far as AI, and a moment ago I was talking about how I'd seen some YouTube channels where people were creating sort of, scenes from imaginary films, like I mentioned Blade Runner, but it's 1927. And now I'm starting to see some of these incorporating photographic animation, because while the images look like they're from an actual film, they're still images created with AI. But now I'm seeing some of them adding bits of animation, and that's going to start improving soon too. What we can see is quite impressive, but we're at the beginning stages of this, and I really think that in time anybody is going to be able to create their own piece of cinema. Yeah. In time anybody will be able to create, moving images that look good. And that they will be able to create their own films. Now, of course, the danger with this is the ability to create misinformation and fakes. Oh, yeah. That's the real danger.
That is a big danger, because we have a lot of people who have a very tenuous grasp on whether or not something was actually it happened, or did they just see it in a movie with Burt Reynolds. The whole notion of COVID being a bioweapon comes directly out of the Americans' willingness to believe that movies like Outbreak is what is fueling, and that somebody else is actually out there and thinks it's a good idea to try to use a disease as a weapon. That's only a good idea if you don't think about it for 10 goddamn minutes. What good is a weapon that goes off when you can't control who it gets hit by? And that's exactly what a bioweapon is. It's a weapon that you never know when it's going to go off. It is an atomic weapon that can go off when it's sitting in your silo right in the middle of Omaha. I mean, that is completely freaking useless. But people here in America really want to have a scapegoat. They really want to pin the blame on another human. They really don't want to believe that there are things in the natural world that is not under their control and that they're never going to control.
I don't disagree with you, but don't get excited here. Try not to get excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm playing it up a little bit for the camera, because okay. I'm looking straight into the camera and then trying to remind myself to keep my eyes open a little bit more.
Okay, all right. But anyways, though, there is that danger, and people are always, I remember growing up as a kid. Someone would say something about me that wasn't true. Other kids would repeat it.
Oh, kids are fucking kids.
And there was no changing their minds about it.
Yeah.
People are going to believe what they want to believe. And I learned that at a very young age, that people will believe what they want to believe because for whatever reason, they've just decided this is how I feel about this. And they're not opening themselves up to any other possibilities. I've always kind of maintained a belief that anything I believe, there's always the potential that I could be wrong. Now, sometimes that potential is very small, that margin is very narrow, but I've always kept that little crack in the doorway that says I could be wrong about anything, including my thoughts that I'm expressing today about AI, where I think it's going. Because while I think that it could democratize the ability to create music, the ability to create art, the ability to create film, at the same time, it could then, in that regard, kind of neutralize popular culture as any kind of a force, because when everybody can create it, it stops being special. Only certain people who reach a certain skill level could create music that is memorable and makes people feel something. Eventually, right now, I don't think AI is doing that. It's not creating anything original. Yes, we can create imaginary scenarios like John Lennon singing along to a Paul McCartney song that he never sang along with, but I could see that there could potentially be a day where AI could create music that resonates with people in the same way that, like, say, a Beatles song will.
Oh, yeah.
That is a possibility. And people who say that's impossible, it's only impossible until we do it. And so I always maintain the fact that anything is possible with this at this point. And we're here at the early stages of this type of technology. It's just going to get better. It's not going to get worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, the danger is there for deep fakes.
Yeah.
We are going to just have to either become a society that learns how to better objectively discover what the truth is, or we're going to destroy ourselves.
We have to care that it matters about what we believe is true, or do we care more about something that makes us feel better about the team that we put ourselves on?
Yeah, we have to be more concerned with the truth than being right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and it
difference,
does not feel good to be wrong. And
it never feels good to be wrong, but we have to be. Yeah, we have. But
somebody here is wrong in this nation. There are people who are completely wrong about something and will look directly into your eyes with a dead, glazed-over expression and say they. We don't want to turn off half our audience at the moment. I get exactly what, because that's a subject in which people are exactly, they want to believe a particular thing, that it feels good to learn things that make you feel that you are on the right side the entire time. But somebody's on the wrong side here. Somebody's on the wrong side. I hope it's not me. I hope.
Like I said, we all have to be willing to keep some margin for the idea that we could be wrong about something. And like I said, we have to learn to value the fact that it's more important to know the truth than to be right, or to feel like we're right. That becomes more important. But I do see that also that this kind of democratization of the arts would make it less special, and it would become less of a cultural force. If everybody can create music that sounds good, then it's not special anymore.
I think that's the thing, is that there will be still people that make really good stuff. One of your videos, you had mentioned the idea that you were putting out, Tim, was the idea that if you go back to 1980 and any given week of the year, you pick one at random and you listen to what was on the top 10 charts of that year, there will be, most of it is completely forgettable garbage that did not go farther than, hey, this was nifty at the time, it got radio airplay. But there are things that when they're classic, the only reason is that we've had enough time to forget all of the stuff that was made around it.
You're trying to say.
Yes.
90% of everything that's created is garbage. We just forget about it as time goes on. We just remember the great stuff. So when people say to me, well, they're not making music as good as they used to make it, what they're saying is, I don't hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
Which you have to, it's radio you have to just kind of like forget about.
Yeah, you got it.
But that's a whole other discussion. I don't want to go there yet. But what I'm trying to say is that, the cream rises to the top. We only remember the very best stuff, from a previous decade. So but you're right. If you go back to what was big hits in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s.
There's still stuff that was not a long-term thing that made it to our collective imagination about the great music of that era. There was stuff that was twangy, that was as good as that classic song by Spinal Tap on their inaugural album, "Give Me Some Money."
You know what I need. Oh, maybe you don't. Do I have to come right flat out and tell you everything? Give me some money.
Give me some money.
It's a good song.
Give me some money.
But yeah, like I was trying to say here, I think that once around the time of the beginning of the late 90s, early 21st century, when the ability to record on your home computer became more accessible and more people could record music on their own, I think that the output of recorded music that was released definitely increased. And that doesn't mean that great music can be created. It can be, but there's so much more of it now that it's hard it's much harder to to know what's good, for us collectively to say what's good and what's not good.
Oh.
And I think with AI, it's going to only increase that. And I think that's why popular culture may not be as prominent 50 to 100 years from now as it is now. And I may be very conservative in saying that.
Yeah.
And that what I'm predicting may come a lot sooner.
You know, and that leads me to think something about, you know, the very fact, you know, the thing that you and I have a shared interest is in recorded music and being able to have access to music at the drop of a finger at any point.
Which we do.
And that, you know, you back up the calendar 100 years before there was recorded. The thing about "Don't Shoot Me, I'm Just the Piano Player," and you know, hey, if you shoot me, you get no live music. So you get what I mean, right? It's just that the very fact that we have this as a piece of technology, just that we're looking at this moment in time, and some people make the mistake of thinking it should always be this way. No, we're going to be moving into an era in which technology works more for us rather than us working for the technology in order to get the work done. I'm excited about it because you're a good friend of mine. I really enjoy your company. I've always loved your thoughts, your music. I carry around your music in my every day on my phone for shuffling, and you come up in my feed with your Christmas music in the middle of August.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you? See
well,
here?
Thank you.
How dare you get me singing Jingle Bells or "Oh Sweet Little Town"?
Yeah,
Tim
that
Ramirez.
Christmas album. Yeah, that Christmas album was like just something that, you know.
I remember talking to you when you recorded that Christmas album, Tim, and you had mentioned, "Oh, we got to record this in the middle of July because you want to have it finished and ready to roll out." When
it had to be ready for
right
December.
On Black Friday, right? You know,
and it had just been recommended to me, you know, that Christmas albums always sell every year, and you could. And this was back when I was still selling CDs, which nobody buys anymore.
Yeah,
But to make a Christmas, and I'll be honest, when I made the Christmas album, I probably sold more copies of that CD than any of my other stuff. You know, and it was all public domain Christmas songs. I just did instrumental interpretations. There was one original song at the end.
You know,
but I was selling Christmas albums
Christmas
in like
California,
5 and 10, because people were giving them as gifts.
Yeah, Christmas in California.
Yeah, yeah. Where I unconsciously plagiarized. I realized after I recorded that song and released it that I had unconsciously plagiarized "We're Not Going to Take It" by Twisted Sister.
Oh,
and
oh, really?
But that's a whole other story. Yeah. Afterwards, if you want to compare, you might hear the comparison.
Okay. Okay. I think that gets way into the weeds. You do a lot of analysis, you know, in your videos on, you know, litigation, on whether or not somebody owns a particular funk from a decade. You know, the Marvin Gaye stuff. I remember you saying that.
But I realized I had unconsciously plagiarized it. Now nobody cares at this point. Twisted Sister certainly doesn't care, because that song is not making enough money for them to care, you know. And it's probably never going to.
Yeah,
so
I don't think you should make money off of somebody else's work, but I think at a certain point, if you change somebody else's work to a point where you're repurposing it for something new, well then, you know, you're using it for something new. Yeah. It's like if I did an Andy Warhol right now.
Yeah. It was not an intentional thing. I wrote a song and then didn't realize till after I'd recorded it and released it, oh, you know, someone had to point it out to me, and then I thought, oh, I think you're right, actually.
And
that I had unintentionally plagiarized, you know, the main melody line of the chorus of that song. And if you after we do this, you can go back, you can listen to it and check it out.
Okay.
Make a comparison, see what you think.
Okay.
But if I were to re-record it, I would make some definite changes to the melody line so that I'm not doing that.
That way you never have to have that conversation.
At this point, no one's going to care. It's not making enough money for anyone to really care about it. You know, it's not worth going into litigation over. Only if it was like a big hit would anybody go into litigation for it. James Brown blatantly copied. In fact, I think he actually he blatantly copied a David Bowie song, just the music structure, the music of it. And I think he went so far as to actually just simply dub the music and then put his own vocals over it. And I made a video about it. David Bowie never took him to court.
Yeah.
He said he would if the song had become a hit, but it never became a hit, so he never took him to court.
Huh. And then that kind of starts putting an artist in the jeopardy of, hey, if you didn't defend your intellectual property in one situation, then you wouldn't.
Well, yeah, sure. If you don't,
you abdicate the ability to do that.
That's a real concern.
Yeah.
But the fact is, my Christmas song, it hasn't made any enough of an impact. First of all, I'm sure that no one in Twisted Sister is even aware of it. My song would have to make some kind of impact for them to be aware of it, and it hasn't made that impact. I sold a lot of copies of those CDs.
You know what we should do?
I only made 1,000 of them. The thing is, we don't need to really explore it here. I'm just saying this is something that happened. I unconsciously did it. It was not intentional, but I did it unconsciously. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But if I ever decide to, like, if ever there was a situation where I was going to have the opportunity to re-record this song and release it in a way that could become, like, say it was going to be used in a motion picture or something,
yeah,
I would definitely want to re-record it and change the melody so that it no longer does that.
So Tim,
that line is not as apparent?
You've kind of given me a setup here for a bit of a joke. So are you sure that you did not, sir, intentionally take the lyrics and the melody from Twisted Sister's "Burn in Hell"? As you can see up on the screen.
I'm positive. Yes, I'm positive.
Did you decide to put yourself with some makeup to kind of make sure that people could see your pretty eyes and hold a bone in front of yourself?
I'm pretty sure I didn't. Yes,
you did. You did this. Well,
I'm pretty sure I didn't do that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you Tim Ramirez, thief of music. Thief of music. Look at him. Look at him. He's dashing. Look, is this the Tim Ramirez thief of music that I know and love? Look at his eyes. Just look at them. Just look at them. Aren't they majestic?
You'll have to create a new image of a mashup image of me and Dee Snider, I guess.
I can. I'm sweating, and we're looking right at 3:00.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going myself. Actually, yes.
Thank you for giving me a bumper on that. Give us next time on Mostly Fictional Tales. Give us a teaser about your return visit. Let me change to host and guest. That way. All right, Tim. Well, I'm going to send you on and off here. I think we have gotten enough recorded today,
okay.
And I thank you kindly for coming on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But if you like what we've done here and you need to see more of what we do, you can support in a lot of simple ways. You can share, and subscribe. It goes a long way to feeling good about seeing those numbers boost. But if you're a real difference maker, you'll go on over to Patreon and support us there. Mostly Fictional Tales cannot be made unless we have a little bit of cheddar to, grease the light bulbs. I don't think you do that, but yeah, I'll figure out a better thing there. Rathgar here, once again reminding you all, you be good. But if you cannot be good, don't be caught.